I'm getting all geared up for fishing this spring. I'm really excited about it, and I finally settled on exactly what rod and reel combos I'm going to be using. Now, I had to kind of get some new equipment here because I haven't done much fishing really in the past, about 15 years, 13 years, since somebody stole my outboard motor. Then I got married, and I had 6 kids. So I'm getting back into it now, and we're planning 26 fishing trips for this year. So we're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of time on the water. I need some decent equipment that'll work for me. I want to show you what I picked out for this year, and I'd love to hear your critiques or opinions on it. Starting with my most nostalgic piece here. This is a Berkley Cherrywood, just like I had when I was a kid, with a Zebco 33 reel on it. The cherry rod here, the Cherrywood, is actually, I think I bought it 20 years ago and never actually used it. I just rediscovered it when I was cleaning out the shed. The reel I just bought, this new version Zebco 33 reel, seems just as good as any of the others. Slightly different look, but it's got the same function. It reels fine. It's got the clicker on it. Should be great. This is a 7-foot medium action rod, 2-piecer. I don't care for 2-piece rods generally, but they seem to work all right. This is going to be my general everything rod. If I'm bass fishing, if I'm walleye fishing, if I'm fishing for perch or bluegills or speck or what have you, I'm going to be using this setup. It's a very sensitive rod, so you can feel the small light bites really nicely, even with your mono line. You'll feel them pretty good. Casting is just ridiculously easy, and it just fits the hand and wrist so well, at least for me. This is just my primary go-to reel anymore. It was when I was a kid, and I've gone back to it. So we're going to use this in any water that'll do basic bass or panfish fishing. And most of that's going to be in the lakes that we have around here. We got a half a dozen lakes within 7 miles of my house that are all between about 50 and 700 acres in surface area. So we're going to get some good use out of that. My next setup here, I have an Ugly Stik GX2. This is an ultralight with a Zebco 33 micro. This is specifically for when I'm catching panfish, or maybe if I'm doing a little creek fishing for chubs. When I'm casting tiny little lures that don't work well on the other rods, the ultralight works better. I don't know if the inside of the eyelets are actually somehow better for a lighter line and for a lighter lure casting weight. Maybe they are, maybe they're made that way, but I don't know. What I do know is that at least this reel works better with tiny lures. The micro 33 works better than the full-size Zebco 33 with something like a weighted fly or just a single little number 8 hook with a wax worm on it, or maybe a 1/32 ounce bluegill jig, something small like that. This will still cast it decently well. So that's my bluegill and chub rod right there. Next up, we have my big uns. I have been looking specifically for trolling rods. I mean, looking at everything, $100 rods, $200-300 rods, talking at all the sport shops I can find around here. I landed on this. This is an Ugly Stik catfish rod. It's just a 7-foot medium heavy. Now these cat rods are going to be used in the bigger lakes around us here. When I'm trolling for pike, they're going to be used up at the Hardy Pond, which is a pretty good piece of water. And we're going to use these in the Grand River channels down by Grand Haven. We're going to use this in Lake Macatawa for trolling, where we can get more of the large drum, we can get more of the salmon out there. And I'm going to use these poles in Lake Michigan, as well as trolling. We're going to take these rods and we're going to be trolling at 150 feet down in Torch Lake this spring and again this fall. So that's going to be awesome. If there is any stress test for an Ugly Stik, that'll probably be it. See if we can pull in some of the big salmon up there, maybe even hit a muskie or a couple good lake trout. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to go with this. I have 2 of these, and these are going to be I get to beat 'em up rods. My trolling rods especially. If I'm going to be fishing hard or for big fish, I'm using these. I'm fishing with a braided line. I have found that I get more fish in the boat when I'm trolling with braided line on these rods. This is one actually I used last year. And I think it's just because the mono line has so much of a stretch to it when you have 100 to 200 feet of line behind your boat. There's so much stretch that when a fish bites the lure, it doesn't give it a good hook set at all. When I went with a braided line, like this stuff, this is I believe a 15-pound Power Pro, I started bringing more fish in the boat. And that's why I think it is. I have two more rods here that I'm going to show you. This is one of my older setups. This used to be a 7'6". Now it's about a 6'3", because I'm about 5'10". So that's roughly a 6'2" to 6'3" rod. This is an IM7 graphite. This is an old Gander Mountain Guide Series worm rod that's now slightly shortened. This is just, it'll work for anything rod. It still works even though it's shorter. The tip busted off. It's got an oversized reel on it. This is the Shakespeare Celastus 4000. So it's just a bigger, stronger reel than you'd ever need here, but what the heck, it works. Works fine. It cranks hard. I'll use this for any general casting work. I don't want to troll with it unless I'm doing lightweight trolling. But really, this is just my backup rod. I can have it in the boat with something else hooked on, or I can keep it in the car. If something happens, I can run back and grab it. And now we get to the classic cane pole. I have a 14-foot cane pole. Cane poles are really, really fun, but they actually have a pretty good use to them when it comes to creek fishing. If you're fishing in a small little creek, they tend to have a lot of brush and weeds and crud growing on the sides that makes it very hard to actually swing a rod for casting. With a 14-foot cane pole, I can reach around the bush. I can reach right over a bush and drop my lure, my little hook, right in the tiny little pool of the creek where the creek chubs are all gathered, and I can pull out all them chubs. So something like this is handy for when you're doing funky ultra finesse fishing, when you got to reach around stuff. And honestly, that's what I use it for. That's my setup for the year. I would love to know what you think and how you would change something. Critique this for me, and I'll wait for it in the comments. So to round it up, I got my trolling rods. These are for trolling heavier fish in bigger water up to Lake Michigan. I've got my ultralight for bluegill, tiny little casting things. I have my Berkley Cherrywood Zebco 33 for anything where I'm expecting fish to be under about maybe 7 pounds. I have my, I don't know what to call it anymore, but it should catch a fish, so what the heck. And I got my bamboo noodle pole here, my classic cane pole. Well, as I don't need to keep you any longer, I'm sure we both got stuff to do. I'll catch you on the water sometime, eh? See you later.